Welcome to the For the Love of the Game podcast on your free agency special with your hosts, Jefferson Belfort and Brian Hernandez, and our special guest, Erick Valesquez. How are you guys doing today?
Eric, you first.
I'm doing well. How you guys doing?
Not too shabby. I mean, hey, we're here on free agency day. This is going to be a special early episode for all the listeners. We're actually recording this at right now it's 6:38 p.m. Eastern time, so we're 38 minutes into free agency. We're going to be talking about some of the things going down and all this stuff. But before all that, Jeff, how are you doing? I have to ask.
Feeling good. You know, my Miami Heat looking good right now. They're looking
Miami Heat.
Yeah,
they're looking pretty nice.
Yeah, Jeff might be jumping off the bandwagon of the Nets, or not bandwagon, but jumping off the Nets fandom train. You know, Miami. He's in Miami right now. You can look at the stadium; it's looking pretty nice over there. Do you want to give just quick thoughts on the KD stuff right now?
I'd rather not.
Come on, Jeff, we're doing a show here.
I'd rather not. Oh, I can talk for like 3 hours. So.
Well, all right. We are going to talk about some KD stuff. But before all that, you know, we have our resident expert guest here in Eric. And we're here to talk, especially resident expert, I guess, for the Warriors, Eric. And then, you know, we're going to talk about some Warriors stuff, do a little spotlight about them. Just won the championship. Got to get your insight. And then talk about some of the free agency stuff happening. Of course, Jeff, the KD stuff. But I guess let's get into it if you guys are ready.
Yeah,
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
All right. So, Eric just won that championship right now. The Warriors, looked good throughout the entire playoffs. What are your thoughts now that the season's over and everything? Like, what are your initial thoughts about the Warriors?
My thoughts are that this was their year, honestly. Like, everyone was healthy for the most part. The beginning of the year, it took a lot of like them getting to know each other again, the timing, the chemistry. That took a lot of the beginning half. But then in the second half, after the All-Star break, they just started to click. Like, they really played well. But then close to like right where it was the end of the season, I think it was Curry got hurt a little bit, and like everyone kind of doubted them because they didn't think Curry was 100, and I think were they in like the sixth spot? I don't even remember, honestly. They weren't high up there, and they just took care of business every round. Did not matter who. Who was the first team they played? Who was the first team? The Nuggets? Yeah.
Yes.
Was it?
Yes. Yeah, it was the
Yeah,
Nuggets.
that was just Joker. They just got to beat Joker. The second team was why is this not bringing? Who was the second team? I know the third one was the Mavs. That was
the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies.
Oh yeah, that was a tough series. Once they beat the Grizzlies, I knew they had the best shot because they always struggle against the Grizzlies. That's a really good team too. They're gonna be nice. And then the Mavs just overachieved in my opinion. Like, Luka carried that team as far as he could, and Jalen Brunson played out of his mind, and that's kind of why he got paid today because of that series and what he's done in postseason. Yeah, but this whole team, like the whole team was just so nice together. Everyone worked really well together. Only thing we really lacked was size, but that kind of showed that we could work around that. Other than that, I hope this team comes back as is, maybe some new pieces. The rookies, I don't know about this class with who they picked. They're kind of like, they're not going to play at all. But Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, Gary Payton, the young Warriors, Jordan Poole. Those are the ones I really like now. I really like the young players that they have.
I guess going back a little bit, like you mentioned, it's a little bit of struggles earlier in the season and like midway through the season. But did you expect this to happen? Did you expect a championship coming into the season?
I did. I think I told
Yeah.
you guys when I first came on that you should take them at whatever odds it was, and they, I just realistically, who could beat them would only be LeBron. That would be Giannis or a really good Raptors team, I guess. That's about all. That's who could beat the Warriors at this point.
Um. So
That was
I guess
another team as well.
Nah, the
the
Nets never competed. I was waiting for that Nets Warriors finals we've been talking about, but like my team made it. I don't know where the Nets were. I mean, Miami Heat. Sorry, I forgot.
I was gonna say Jeff out of any rebuttal.
Exactly.
Miami Heat,
Exactly.
Miami.
Those got next year, the Heat Nation.
Heat Nation. I guess so. With the Warriors, what I guess was there anything that surprised you that happened in the season? So you mentioned, of course, expecting a championship was the emergence of Andrew Wiggins this season, Jordan Poole. Did you
Everyone
see those?
hated Wiggins, man. I remember all you guys are saying like, why would you make that trade? Or like you could get so much more for D'Lo. Yeah, that was for
Yeah,
D'Lo.
yeah. Mhm.
And I thought he was the perfect fit because when we won that first chip, it was Harrison Barnes. He was a rookie. He played really well. The second one was KD, and that small forward position is really vital to the team because the years that we didn't win, we kind of struggled at that position. And Wiggins played out of his mind. He played like a real first round pick, like the number one pick. Um, he played like the all the hype that he's the next LeBron. That all died out. But I the one thing that I thought that was really good was all the role players. They didn't like complain about playing time. They just got in there, played, and 5, 10 minutes really did their part. Otto Porter, Gary Payton, Kuminga had some nice stretches. Bielitsa sometimes played nice. Kevon Looney, honestly, he was really important to that team. Double double,
Yeah.
small big man.
Um, I'm curious. So we've had this conversation, Jeff and I, in one of the past episodes, that talking about something you just brought up there with KD's legacy and all this stuff, and like we asked the question: did Steph winning this championship hurt KD's legacy? Because, like you mentioned, Steph did it with Harrison Barnes. He did it with Andrew Wiggins. And then you also have
Yep.
KD there in the middle, and it's like, all right, one guy isn't on the same level as the other two, or is on a completely different level than the other two, I should say. Do you think like Steph winning this championship hurts KD's legacy at all, or downplays the impact he had on this Warriors team when he was there?
Um, I don't know. I think it was cool. I mean, that Draymond recently said that I don't know if we would have won that chip without KD, and then it really got me thinking. Like, yeah, like the whole timeline, how the no one figured out the Warriors the first time, then the Cavs figured out the Warriors the second time, and if the Cavs already figured them out the second time, the third time they were just going to beat us again. So I mean, that was a big change there. I don't think we win without him, but. I think it shows that Stephen Curry is at that same level as KD, and I would take Steph like to run my team. I'd be happy with him and make the whole team around him. But I feel like the Warriors are just so well rounded with everyone that everyone can like do their own thing. Poole could be hot. Thompson, Wiggins can get hot all of a sudden. Draymond, just please pass that ball and rebound. Please, that's all we need. Um, and Looney boards and just a presence.
Okay, I wanted to add something to this. What Oh, you mentioned Wiggins, and I think that's not necessarily where most of the conversation, where the Wiggins, where we you lost us, are most people that was Wiggins supporters lost us. Is it's more of that. Don't necessarily see him as a star. Don't necessarily see him as I don't necessarily see him as a star, and he definitely benefited from being in the Warriors system, and
Everyone
that's
does.
exactly. But that's where I always said like it's not that I didn't think he was going to do good Warriors. I just didn't think he was going to be a big that impactful. It
Right?
obviously showed how impactful he was in the playoffs, but I think the conversation is, and we revisit this again, is if I was to give someone an all-star starter vote or spot, it wouldn't have been Andrew Wiggins. It still would not be Andrew Wiggins. I understand how good he was this season, but I still would not give it to him. Is where I leave off with that. But beyond that, like Brian was mentioning, the legacy conversation, where that stemmed from was a conversation where we were talking about LeBron's impact and legacy and Katie's impact and legacy being highlighted in that. So, how do you feel about now Steph being on the know, essentially at the footsteps of like where LeBron is? And do you think that there's a realistic sense where we can say that Steph in his career will be have more accolades and be better than LeBron James?
I don't know about better in overall, but I definitely think Curry is in that category of like best players of all time by the end of it. I think they're gonna win another one, honestly. I could see them repeating because they really showed that they're a complete team, and I just don't think they're done. I just think that this is the beginning of another run. Um, I think Curry's in that level, though. I think he's at the top there. I mean, I'm also biased, but uh, he is. He's shown that he could run a team. He could put the scoring on his back. He'll make that pass, do whatever to win. So I do see him there.
Well, I this is something you were saying earlier, and what I was thinking as well is one of the reasons why Curry, you see the Warriors have legacy or the dynasty or the culture that they have now is that they bought into these guys. And I know like some people want to make it seem like where Steph Curry got selected in the draft was it was like like you could look back at it as like MJ being drafted at number 3. But like let's be honest, those first 5 years he was in the league wasn't as great as what he's turned into now, right?
I personally didn't like Curry when he was came into the league because I mean I was a Warriors fan before he even was on the team, and I knew that it was kind of a divide once he got there because it was the older players and then these newer players, and they didn't really mix too well in the beginning. Plus, Curry had like baby ankles, so he was constantly getting hurt. So I didn't have a lot of belief in him in the beginning. But I mean that I was also a huge Monte Ellis fan, so I mean they were kind of opposites. And then they had to make a decision. It was either one or the other. I wasn't happy in the moment, but overall I'm happy we kept Curry.
Yeah. And I think you guys have benefited from that fact that Curry had to go through whatever he had to go through to become the player that he is, and because of that, that's why he's like one of these guys in the league that you don't see is succumbed by the player empowerment era like conversation that happens where all these players want to leave. He kind of has he had a chip on his shoulder. He had a team that believed in him, and because of that, now he's repaying the team, and the team is repaying him back as well. And that's something you just don't see with a lot of other teams in the league.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it's always funny that you brought up right now, like Steph Curry at the beginning wasn't the player that he is right now. I always go like, because at least personally in my sphere, I always hear a lot from like Knicks fans, and of course you hear Steph Curry talk about how he thought he was going to get drafted by the Knicks and all this other stuff. I'm always of the belief of, if the Knicks drafted Steph Curry, there's no shot they were going through all those pains of him getting injured and all this other stuff and like his ankles. They would have traded him instantly for like nothing. And there's no shot, at least to me, there's no world where I see that working out. So I'm glad it actually did work out for the Warriors.
Yeah.
I'm curious of, so you mentioned a little bit before, a little bit struggles after the All-Star break, especially with someone like Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins, it was historically pretty bad right after the All-Star break. Were you afraid?
I think it all went to his head, to be honest. I think he was playing really well, and I think if you just don't say anything, he continues to play well. But then you give him that first All-Star bid. Everyone's talking about him. Everyone's watching him now. And I think it was just too much for him right after the All-Star break. Plus, I mean, they were playing, then he stopped, then he's right back, and like it. I think it just kind of altered everything. Um, but yeah, he would play like garbage when he came back from that All-Star break.
Yeah, that was really funny. I remember Jeff and I always talking about it. Of like, oh man, is this like the end for this? Like, we have no idea what happened to him. Um,
He's just not consistent, man. Like you saw, he was so hot, then he got cold, and then he got hot during the playoffs. But I just when I was watching him, he just moves without the ball. He does so many other things besides just stand in the corner, wait for his pass, and then dribble. Like he moves to the ball, he tries to get rebounds, he's trying to put back dunks. Like he's just there doing a lot of things. And I think that's that Warrior system. That's why so many players want to go there and play well there. Like Gary Payton, like I really liked him this year and I thought he was really good for us. But you put him on another team and ask him to do the same things, he's not going to be as good because he's going to be asked to do more than he actually is. Like all we want from him this year was go guard up their best defender. Like John Morant's out there, you stay on him. I don't care where he's going, you're on him, and that's all we needed. I mean, Curry can play defense. Um, I mean, those are the most guards. But what's his name? Poole kind of showed us that he's not the best defender, which I mean I'm a little hesitant of, but hopefully that changes over the years.
Well, that we've had that conversation in the past too about where, like I've said in the past, that Draymond and Clay are both not necessarily stars. They're quasi stars. They're stars because they're contingent. Their stardom is contingent to Steph Curry being there. Are the level of play that Steph allows for them to play the way they play. Same way I feel like when you think of guys like a Dennis Rodman and a Pippen, in my mind, is they're stars because of the system that they're in with the player that they're with, right? Like if you take Steph out of there, it's just not the same. So I ask you this question now: what is your thought process about Jordan Poole, and what do you realistically see with long term for his career as we're trailing closer and closer towards the end of Steph's career, being that he's 33 going on 34 at this point now too.
Well, with Jordan Poole, he's got 2 more years, I think, on on his rookie deal. So hopefully those like he lives up to that contract. Like he just builds himself up to a big contract. But I don't. I'm not a numbers guy, so like I don't know if it's like possible with. I like he's gonna if he continues to play well and shows that he's that guy because when Curry wasn't there, when Clay wasn't there, it was Wiggins and Poole scoring 20 points a game, and kind of winning us some of these like low scoring games. So like he showed that he's that guy this year. It's just more the fact that some team will offer him that bag, and like who's not gonna go to another team for money? Like especially when you already won a chip, like go do that on another team now and make your legacy even bigger. But it really depends on how he views being on the Warriors. Like, does he believe in that culture, that system, or is he more, which there's nothing wrong with, like I want that money, I want new things, I want a new team, I want to see if I'm that leader, if I could be better than Steph. Like he could be like that. So um I would love for them to keep him as long as possible. I think he helps a lot with that bench also, and I guess he's the two if Clay is the three. I don't know how the rotation is going to work out, but I don't know if he can be on the bench anymore if he continues to play well. But if he's a liability on defense, I mean, he's probably, and let's say his scoring regresses a little bit, he's probably a little bit better than Duncan Robinson. Like, if he doesn't get better on defense, because now Robinson can't play because if his shooting's not going down, they're bodying him down low. What's the point of having him out there?
Yeah, Jeff, what's your input, the Miami Heat expert here on Duncan Robinson?
Don't disrespect my boy Duncan Robinson,
I don't
man.
like Duncan Robinson.
Like,
What happened to him in the playoffs? I didn't hear his name once.
he'll revisit that over this. Me and the brass and the team brass. We're gonna meet up and we're gonna have a talk with Duncan, and then we're gonna figure it out. But being a little bit serious, Duncan, I think a little bit of what happened with Duncan is, kind of like, I don't know what flustered Tyler last year, but like it seems like he's having one of those years as well. And
Yeah,
he's
it was the
young.
baby
Like
mamas, bro. It was the baby mamas.
A baby mom.
but like let's be honest, is that this happens to a lot of players. Some players have sophomore slumps. I know this is his third year at this point, right, for Duncan Robinson. Like he started to get game plan, and that definitely affects certain players. So, like, it's upon him to take some time this summer to figure that out and play a little bit better. But let's go back into the Warriors. Let's not try to take this conversations off of these guys. Now, you did say that you think that you guys could repeat. If the thought process is that you guys could repeat, what do you think is necessary for them to do it next year, and what steps do you think um, needs to be taken by other guys, other than the ones that we talked about, like a Wiggins or Poole? Now think about guys like a Wiseman or Moody. What steps do you need
Wiseman,
them to take?
Wiseman better show up this year because I don't know what happens with him if he doesn't at least play. Like I don't know. I hope he's not that like Greg Oden type that just never plays. I mean, all hype, no play. But Wiseman's got to play. That would be huge for the offense and like more defensively because the offense anyone can score on that offense. But who else? I feel like if Otto Porter doesn't come back, we need a backup four. So that's probably a vet that wants to win a chip. It's usually that's how it's been like last couple of years. The three position is Wiggins. There's so many guys on the Warriors team that just play multiple positions. So like you can't even classify them as just a three or a two. Like Moody could play. Kaminga's a four and a slash three. I would love to see Kaminga play a lot more, and because I think he could be really good. Because when he's on that offense, when he's on the court with Draymond, Draymond just tells him where to go, where to move, and he listens and he plays really well. Um, I would love to see Gary Payton come back because I feel like he's a really good asset to the team. I guess we could use a backup point guard because I don't really see I don't really want Gary Payton to run the offense. I'd rather him be like that helper. So maybe a backup point guard and another big. We could always use the big. I mean, depending on Wiseman, we could. That's why like the rookies that we got, Patrick Baldwin. Like I watched him a couple times in college. He never stood out to me. So like I never really knew who he even was. But he got size. He can shoot. I mean, Warriors have made really good second round picks into like not stars, but like really good players. So, and our first round picks really have usually been pretty good. So, like if they could develop him, I don't see him playing this year to be honest. Barron like blowout game was just about that, but I don't see him. And I honestly don't even know who are the other two guys to be honest. That the third one, he's not playing at all. The second one, he just he broke something like already, fractured his foot. I don't even know. He's already out. So like I knew they weren't going to play. So Baldwin, I'd love to see him play a little bit, maybe in summer league. But other than that, they just need players that are going to be vet minimums, fill those voids that we need. Backup point guard, maybe a backup wing, backup four, and hopefully Wiseman pans out. Wiseman and Kuminga, that team would be really really athletic, big, and they could shoot from anywhere.
The Patrick Baldwin Jr. pick, I actually really like it. I think it's probably one of the better picks that they could have taken just because of Patrick Baldwin Jr. in high school was one of the best prospects. He was like a top 5 prospect. He decided to go to college, but play for his dad, whose job was on the line, and try to like save his dad's job. Ended up playing with a bunch of bums and literally had to do everything himself. Did not have a great college season. So there's like a ton of potential there. You pair him up with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, all these guys, like see their work ethic, and then you don't really need to ask too much of him, because if you ask too much of him, he's going to fail. But just literally develop this guy. It's a nice little piece to have to
You know
look
who
at
I just
like
thought
4 years.
of that he kind of reminds me of? Like I'll be honest, I don't really know much about him,
Yeah.
but he kind of reminds me of like a Michael Porter Jr. Not as good, but like
Yeah.
that kind of frame, that kind of playing aspect. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
I think Michael Porter Jr. is way better, but he kind
Yeah.
of reminds me of him.
Definitely some similarities in like the shooting, the pedigree,
Eyes.
um, yeah, the size. Definitely say Patrick Baldwin Jr. is not as athletic because he measured in the combine, or he did his athleticism stuff in the combine, and he did not measure well at all. He
But
was
he's like a
really
big
bad.
body
Yeah,
shooter,
yeah, big bodies. So like,
not fast. Maybe a better
yeah,
Bielitsa.
yeah, there definitely is something there. I must say, as a Knicks fan, I'm extremely jealous
We were
of.
talking about it. I don't know
Yeah,
what the Knicks were doing on
yeah.
draft day. I don't
Uh,
know what they were doing, what they
it's
were
the
thinking. Stephen A looked like he was about to like maybe kill himself on air, which was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, so one, as it looks like it was all for Jalen Brunson. The interesting thing, or I want to bring up, was like it's so crazy to me. The Warriors, such a good team. Next thing you know, you have maybe 2 or 3 down years because of injuries. Yet you get amazing picks and you do all this stuff. Now you have all your stars still, and now you have all these young talent, potential talent coming up, and it's like, damn man, the Knicks are over here like picking 8, 9, 10, 12, 20s all the time while the Warriors are retooling when
They
these
have
still
no
have
idea what they're
superstars.
doing.
It's
They
messed
have
up.
no idea what they're
The
doing.
Warriors definitely do it right. I wanted to ask about Klay Thompson. So you guys have Klay Thompson and everything.
Henny Clay. Henny
Yeah,
Clay's
Henny,
crazy.
Henny Clay. He came back during what, January or so. I thought the reason why I picked the Warriors to win it all in the beginning of the year was because I believe Klay Thompson was going to come back to his old form. Didn't look fantastic.
No.
Do you think this is Klay Thompson going forward? Do you think he was out away from basketball too long? What do you think there?
I don't know about this one either. I love Clay Thompson. He looked pretty bad. Like He took a lot of shots. He missed a lot of shots, and they were wide open shots.
Yeah.
I know he was trying to get back into his groove, but like it kind of ruined the offense a little bit because it was like we were running back, Clay would just pull up and he'd brick it, and then we're running back on defense. And that kind of ruins the momentum. I I hope he comes back better. I mean, this was the first year coming off of 2 year injuries, two
Yeah.
injuries, and I'll say that there will be a better Klay Thompson next year, and that is why the Warriors will repeat again because they're just going to be too offensively. They're going to be too offensive for any team, and everyone will develop Kuminga, Wiseman, Dre as that leader, Wiggins playing well still, Poole. Like I just we were a couple pieces from repeating, honestly, in my mind.
What do you think? So you named a couple of things that you needed in this offseason, like all the backups and all this other stuff. I Are there a few like just names? Like who's the ideal signings you would like the
Yeah,
Warriors to get?
let me get some free. I mean, also, I don't know what their money situation is like. I know they owe a lot of money. Um,
Definitely
but
over the
like
cap.
exactly. So like I never, since I'm not a numbers guy, I don't like to look at anything until because majority of the people that we sign are vet minimums
Yeah.
because they know that the money's in all these other guys. So the only way that we could sign anyone is you got to take the vet min. You got to be okay with playing with whatever they give you, and the outcome could be a chip. But there's people that are money hungry or they are just hungry to win a chip. So it depends on their mindset. Like I'm looking at the list right now. I don't know if any of these players got signed either. Like a Tyus Jones would be nice. Like a backup. Tyus Jones is pretty good.
I don't think he's gonna take a minimum though. So
Exactly.
unless
That's
you
what
have
I
some
mean.
exception or
When
whatever.
I'm looking at names, he would be a really nice backup point
Mm,
guard on that team. Him and Gary Payton and Jordan Poole as the backups. That's a nice little
mm.
three guards combo, and you put two bigs there. Um, James Harden. Ricky Rubio would be a nice one. I mean, he's coming off of a torn ACL. He needs that 1 year prove it deal. That would be a nice little if he's willing to take not go for money.
I thought I saw with Ricky Rubio himself. I thought I saw he was joining the somewhere in Spain, but that could have been wrong.
I don't know. I'm just looking at this
Yeah, yeah,
list I
yeah.
have in front of me.
From what I'm looking at,
Um,
that might be wrong.
Delon Wright, that'd be. I mean, he's not going to take a
Solid.
minimum, but like that. Those are the type of players we need. I like a Dennis Schroeder. I would not want on that team at all.
No, Dennis Schroeder.
Like a Lou Williams, I would not want. It's a little too old. Bryn Forbes, he's just a shooter. Um, Lonnie Walker wouldn't be bad. I mean,
He
he
just
helps on
signed.
defense. He
He
can
just,
score.
he just signed.
He'll take a vet min. He just got released today, I think.
He signed with the Lakers today.
I hate the Lakers.
I
Paul
wonder.
Millsap, if he wants a chip, he's got to sign that vet min, come for work a year in there, be the backup. That'd be nice.
Mhm.
Okay, but I'm gonna stop you there. There's a lot of names that you were saying, but like I think you gotta keep in mind is that a lot of these guys that, and this is the issue with a lot of these contenders now is that a lot of these teams are well over the salary cap, right? And a lot of those guys, like you mentioned, Tyus Jones, he's definitely going to be a guy that's expecting
He's gonna get
like
money.
10 mil. Yeah, he's expecting at least 10 mil in the marketplace. Um, I was on a Twitter space earlier today where there was a guy that was thinking that he could probably pull around like 15 mil in the open market. But not only that, something that I was even shocked by is that he was saying that he thinks that he's easily a player that's in the 15 to 20 top point guards range in this league. I don't necessarily agree, but it just goes to show like how talented the league is nowadays. It is going to take a lot of maneuvering. It is going to take a lot of convincing. But like my biggest thing is, and we have been seeing this lately in the league with younger guys being convinced into taking lesser money, but it's kind of becoming like a class system where there's guys that are being exuberantly paid, and then there's guys that are being underpaid, completely underpaid. And you just mentioned Lonnie Walker. That's going to be a guy. I think either he's going to sign a TLE or an MLE, or
6.5 mil. A 1
no,
year
he
deal.
got the MLE. He got the MLE
Yeah.
then, or the TMLE, whatever.
The ML, yeah.
So that's it's starting to become a big issue with the league. It's something that's going to be asked about your team as well too. And I wonder, what do you think? Because you already do have a solid core of guys that you guys could bring back. But let's say we go into 2023 and there's revisiting on like salary caps and the distribution of the money. Let's say there's a world where you had to shake up things. Who are some guys on this team that you think you could give up right now and still stay intact, looking like the Warriors you are now?
Let me take a look at the roster. I mean, it all depends on Jordan Poole and Klay Thompson, in my opinion, because we're at that. This is just like Curry and Ellis again. Like, we got to make a decision, and sometimes you're not going to like the decision. And I'm not saying to get rid of either, but if you have to, you got to split one up. I guess Klay. I mean, after what we've seen, I don't really know, to be honest. Let me just look here. Jordan Poole, Draymond's going to retire before he leaves. I guess if we have to do something, you send Wiggins and Poole. I mean, that you could get a lot for that. I feel like you could get a decent amount for that. Gary Payne's a free agent, and James Wiseman could have some value, but I think his value right now can get you something. But if he comes into the season and he looks like trash, you lost all the value. If he plays well, that's a nice asset you might want to trade. You have nothing with Looney, Toscano, Andre Iguodala is just dust on the team. Kuminga needs to play more, and Porter, he has to resign first. So it'd either be Wiggins and Poole, Wiggins, Wiseman, depending on the value, Thompson if the offer is crazy. Those are the only players. Like, you're not trading Curry, you're not trading Green. Looney has no real big value. Kuminga is still. I mean, I don't see him as valuable, but I mean, he could if he works his way up. Damian Lee, Bielitsa, Moody, like, there's no value on this team, but they all play well with each other.
And last question I think I have about the Warriors is then you did bring up an interesting group of guys, and whether or not, if you were, in the words of Max Kellerman, with the fate of the universe, who are you choosing? If you had to, at this moment, give up one of these guys, are you choosing Klay? Or are you choosing Poole at this point?
I don't know. I came in this year, huge Klay fan, excited to see him back. I wasn't really high on Jordan Poole either. Like, the beginning of this year, I thought he'd be average, score 12 points, a couple assists. But I think if you give Poole the chance, like, he could be just as good as Thompson. I feel like whenever you're coming off an injury, especially 2-season-long injuries, you're never the same player. And I guess I would have to trade Thompson. I would want Poole to see how long. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
You guys
Same. Yep.
I
I'm
don't know.
just
Say, like,
surprised by you saying that.
hold on. Something's just clicking on my.
Clicking for
All
you.
right, we're good. No, now it's good. It was just making a noise. But yeah, I know it's a weird one because like I never really thought about it because in my mind I don't see why we got to get rid of both unless they're both asking for money and um we have to trade one. I don't think we have to trade either of them. I just think we have to kind of make it work as like they're gonna get their money and everyone else around the team they're gonna not make as much, but they know that we're gonna win another chip.
The last question I wanted to ask was I heard JJ Redick ask Draymond Green this type of question. And it was interesting to hear his answers, and I want to get it from a actual fan's perspective of you say you think you can repeat. Are there any teams right now that scare you going into next year? That can be someone that takes away your chances at a championship away.
Well, like I mentioned, I think Giannis is the Bucks are scary because there's no. I don't even think Green can defend. Green's our best defender. I don't think he could defend him 1-on-1. We have no one. I mean, maybe Wiseman. I hope, but like I said, we got to see how he plays. He could dominate the series against us if we're not shooting well. LeBron has figured out this team, and it always depends on who's around him. But like those Lakers are trash, man. They ain't doing anything. We always struggle with Miami, but it's always a low scoring game. It's always last shot wins. I kind of wanted a Miami Golden State final because I thought it would be a little more exciting. But I mean Boston. We play Boston again, and the same outcome. Same outcome.
Say Malcolm. And anything about the Grizzlies? You afraid of the
No,
Grizzlies?
Grizzlies was my other one too. We always have problems with the Grizzlies, man. We just play into their games. Like we just they take a big ass three. We take a longer three. They make a cool dunk. We got to make that better dunk. Like it's just tit for tat, the same thing back and forth. And realistically, we don't have someone that matches up well with Ja besides Gary Payton because Gary Payton is like that annoying guy at the gym that's like always on you and like just get off me, man. But I mean, he plays good defense. Other than that, maybe the Thunder. No,
He's definitely
Luka.
joking.
Not Luka.
yeah, Luka needs more, man. They just lost Brunson. They are maybe worse of a team now. Didn't they trade away someone too, or was that someone else? I mean, it was the Nuggets, I think.
I don't think.
I know the Nuggets
the
traded
Nuggets.
away
Will Barton,
Barton, yeah, and what's his face, the point guard,
Monte Morris.
Isaiah? Okay, Morris, yeah.
Yeah. All right, so I'm very much so looking forward to how the Warriors do next season. How their off season even looks like, even though like we kind of saw here, there isn't a lot too much to do. Really, and not a lot of retooling to do. More just like let's
Bill
pack
roster
on,
stuff.
yeah. Just kind of keep what you got right now. Let's move on to free agency. Free agency is here. We're at 7:21 p.m. right now Eastern time. We got a lot of the moves. A lot of the news kind of slowed down after we started. I guess before we even go into some of all this stuff, there is one main trade that I want to get everyone's thoughts on, and that was DeJounte Murray to the Atlanta Hawks.
He's one of my favorite players because of you.
I know, because
Like,
he was one of my favorite players.
When I had him on fantasy, like I never watched a Spurs game, so I just saw all the things he was bringing to the team. I would want him again. I mean, I don't know about it in Atlanta because is he the point guard or is he the shooting guard?
That's true.
He's gotta be the point.
Trey Young's the
Combo.
point guard.
He's more of a combo in my mind.
I was gonna say he's got to be the shooting guard, but he's not a shooter. He's a driver.
Mhm.
But That's gonna. Do you guys see the one video that it was Trey Young and John Morant, Trey Young and Dejounte Murray first game, and they're like it's a 2-on-1,
Yeah.
and they're just passing it back and forth, like easy layups. They're just passing it up,
Yeah.
and then someone misses, and it's like I had the shot though. Like
Yeah. They're both trying to get their
they're both.
assist.
I mean, I think Trey will have a better season if Murray's there because Murray makes like everyone so much better. He's like a Curry, but without the shooting and like the playmaking and the driving.
So he's not Curry.
Yeah, no.
He's not, but he's got like the traits. He could run a team for sure.
He's an
I-
impact.
First thoughts about it was okay. Good for them that they didn't really, besides the picks, obviously, but they only moved Danilo, and this is a guy that I don't think you can re-sign someone after
They robbed.
you,
I think they robbed
after you
him.
trade him.
I think they took
But,
him for nothing.
But yeah, I don't think that you could re-sign a guy after you trade them and then even they get bought out, you can't bring them back. So they can't bring them back or anything. But still, it was like you said. Wait, who do you think was robbed? What do you mean by that, Eric?
I think that the Hawks got a really good player for nothing.
I don't necessarily agree because I'm looking at the Hawks in a situation where they very well can just be a fringe Eastern Conference playoff team again. And do you put them over? Well, now
Do you
we
think
take
they're the
Nets out
same
of the
team?
equation. I think you take the Nets out of the equation, but you look at the top four teams, top five teams. Are they better than any of them? With Murray?
Probably not.
Not in my opinion.
Do you think they're a better team because of this trade? Or do you think they're the same team?
I think they're a better team, but top of the East now is an issue. The
Well,
Bucks,
let's see. It's the
Celtics.
Bucks, the Celtics, the Heat, and who's the
Philly.
fourth?
Philly, I guess you could say. Toronto, Cleveland.
I give it to Philly. Embiid's still there. Embiid's still a monster. Is Atlanta better than any of those four teams?
Maybe Philly if James Harden's hurt.
Philly.
James Harden's.
They got whooped by Miami, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did. The
Atlanta got-
the
Oh,
Hawks,
Yeah.
the Bucks,
Raptors.
nah.
You look
Nah,
at
the
the
Bucks would beat 'em.
Raptors. Look at the Raptors, and you look at who was the other team that you mentioned. It was another culture like the Cavs.
The Cavs.
Those are two teams that are building it right, and they're taking their time with it. But I think that's exactly where they are. And what does that mean? At best, they're 5. At worst, they're 7. And we're going back into the equation of a play. Right? So they could lose again. And the Hornets, even though they missed out on the playoffs as well, they were right there with them in the play-ins. I just I can't tell you what the Nets are going to be next year. So I'm not even entertain.
Let's
asking
not even
about
talk
that.
about the Nets. The Nets, no one likes the Nets here anyways, except Joe.
But no, like on a serious note, it it barely gets them by in my mind. It's like it doesn't really move the needle that much for me, and that's where I'm fearful that these picks are just going to help the Spurs in the long run. And the Spurs did what they had to do. The Spurs committed to they're going into a rebuild, and usually if you're going to do that, you're going to have to give up a piece like that. And I don't think he moved the needle on the Spurs either. So
The
the right
Spurs
time.
are just the Spurs are a garage sale right now. Whatever you want, come get it. I don't even know who's on the Spurs anymore, to be honest. And I think the sale happened when they got rid of Murray for nothing. Not Murray. What's his
Derek
name? Derek White. I didn't understand that. That was a good player, and you saw how important he was to that team in the finals. Like I like Derek White,
Yeah.
but I mean I didn't like him because he was on the Celtics, but he played well.
I think it's a situation where, well, I mean, obviously the Spurs are playing their hand in the sense of they want to tank. And you look at it of there's two ways you can rebuild your team. You can try to get your guys, develop them, do what the Knicks are doing, where you're kind of in no man's land, and you're just trying to skate by, be a play-in team, be respectable, I guess you can even say, not really. Or just completely tank and hope you get the number one pick or a top pick in the draft. Especially next year, you got Victor Wembanyama, whatever his name is.
Dude, I just saw him for the first time like a couple days ago. I didn't even know that was like he was a thing. Like,
He's pretty.
he looks like
level.
a KD slash a Chet Holmgren slash a like I don't even know, man. He looks crazy.
Yeah. Like that.
Like,
That's one of the
a
guys.
Giannis too,
Yeah.
and throw Giannis in there too.
That guy's a generational talent. So this is what they're trying to do. They're just trying to retool their entire team, and they wish they can get him. Just because, yeah, if you have Murray, like as you saw, what were they like a play-in team last year, and
they got whooped.
Yeah, you get whooped. You're a play-in team. You didn't really get a great pick. Who did they get this year? I forget.
I don't. They got AJ Griffin, I think.
That AJ Griffin went to the Hawks at 16.
I feel like they got someone from Duke. But I think it's weird that Greg Popovich is about to be the leader of a rebuild. Like I think you should just call it quits because why would you want to do that? If you're going to be the man to do the rebuild, that's a long process.
So they actually got Jeremy Sohan.
Oh yeah, they got Sohan. And that's potential over.
Yeah, that's
purely
like potential guy. Yeah, that's a purely potential guy. Malachi Branham is also like he's actually pretty decent now, I would say. But
this draft was really like I thought it was loaded. Like there was a lot of players that didn't even get drafted that I really like, and now they're on like these summer league teams. And like I wouldn't be surprised in a year or two, some of these players are rotational players on really good teams. Like they were really good in college and all of a sudden they don't get drafted. And now some teams kept their eye on them and like I saw that they got signed to the summer league, two-way deals, but like I can't believe some of these guys didn't get drafted.
I'm kind of on the sense of like I feel that this draft is actually pretty weak, especially starting from the 11th pick, exactly where the New York Knicks were. Like I guess compared to where draft, or like especially last year, I think what was it? The Pacers. It was at 13 or 12. They got I'm blanking on his name, Dominican guy. Who's the Pacers shooting guard?
Duarte.
Yeah, Duarte. Chris Duarte. You got all that. You got Trey Murphy Jr. like at whatever. You got Alperen Şengün at like 18 or whatever. Those guys were not around at this level at all. Like a lot of these guys aren't.
Yo, you used to love that dude, Alperen Şengün. You told us to watch out for him.
I know, and hey, he's on the
Rockets.
The Rockets. Wow, I can't even think today. On the Rockets.
They're a weird team, man.
Yeah, Rockets are very strange. But I guess let's get back into free agency stuff. One of the first things that came out even before free agency really started, and we're gonna see tampering. I'm sure tampering charges against the New York Knicks. That Jalen Brunson is going to sign $106 million deal, or 4-year, $106 million deal. There is just a report recently from Woj that's saying that
I was gonna say that.
yes, that Jalen Brunson is going to meet the Knicks because going to meet the Knicks within an hour, and he's armed with a 5-year, $106 million deal from the Mavericks. So that is about $21 million a year that he's getting with the Mavericks versus I believe 106 divided by 4 is $26.5 million deal per year. Should be interesting to see there. if the reporting sticks, what do you guys think about this move for the Knicks?
I'll first just say this will lead into the reporting wars, and we'll find out who's the real superior reporter after the official numbers come down. But I think it's a good look for the Knicks. I think it's a good move for them. A lot of people are taking it as just him as the piece, but I think you got to think of it in a macro sense about like what the Knicks have put on top of what they currently have. Whatever you feel about Julius Randle or not, dude was checked out last year. Who knows if this is the thing that puts it all together for him? You have RJ coming into his own now. I'm assuming they re-signed Mitchell.
Did they?
And
Not
I'm
yet.
assuming
Not yet.
that they're going to
They should.
re-sign him. And with that, if they're able to do that, that looks like a decent playoff bound. And you know what? Just ask the question about the Hawks thing. That's another team they'll have to contend with at that point. And realistically, I think there's a world where you could say that team can beat the Hawks or be better than the Hawks in the standings. But who knows?
Yeah.
And then you added Isaiah Hartenstein.
Yeah.
You know, that's a stretch five you could add to that team. They don't look bad. They don't look too shabby after this.
All right. So when I look at the standings here from last year, the Knicks were 11th. They were the 6 games behind the Hornets. And are they better than the Hornets? Honestly, are they better than the Cavs? If they're not better than those two teams, they're not making the playoffs. Because everyone below the Knicks, the Wizards, I think, are not good. The Pacers, they got to blow it up. They got to trade the players. We got to watch out for these Pistons. The Pistons, if they start playing well and they start figure things out, like Cade and Jaden Ivey, and they got what's his face, Durant, the center. The Sadiq Bey could become a really good, like, the Pistons
Marvin
could be better than the
Bagley.
Knicks. Marvin Bagley just got a bag today.
Yeah, just resigned.
And the Magic, I don't know. The Magic have a lot of
They're so
pieces. I
good.
feel like I mean, I really like Paolo. I think he could be really good. I think he could be that, like, number one on that team that makes them kind of relevant, because before him, they have a lot of nice players, but they don't, like, who's taking that final shot? Like, it could be anyone. Cole Anthony, RJ Hampton. I don't even know.
Fultz.
A little early to be worrying
Yeah.
about final shots. Let's just think about winning games first.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's I'm just saying, like, they don't have anything. I feel like this kind of gives them something, but I don't think the Knicks are better than the. I think I'll give you this. I think the Pistons will be better than the Knicks next year. Let's see how the Hornets either progress or get a little worse. Because when I look at the top 8, it's probably going to be the same top 8 again, just in a different order. Maybe the Nets aren't. Maybe the Nets are the biggest sliders. Like, that's the only team I see that could really regress this year. And then we were only talking about the Knicks, but yeah, I don't know, especially with the playoff like how it's laid out. I don't know. They got to be better than what they were last year if they have any shot. Like, it's that simple.
I think Jalen Brunson's a step in the right direction. Let's see how well this actually ends
Do you
up.
think he's worth all that money?
I think he's worth closer probably to like 23, 24 million a year. That's probably where I would generally
That's
go.
semantics.
Yeah.
For me, I feel like those things are semantics. Like we're just in a league where it's hard to truly value the market price, and he is sitting in a place where if you're going to give a guy a starting position, he's going to expect that type of money, and it's semantics. I feel that a lot about some of the players in the leagues where people question their salaries, but it's just what the league is now.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be something we're going to have to revisit. They're going to have to revisit when that CBA comes up again, because like I just don't think that the salary cap is appropriately built around making a conducive team, because there's no way you're going to be able to attract the type of talent, keep the type of talent, giving them this much of a percentage of your salary cap, and then build a team around them.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. I'm excited to see what that's gonna be 2025 when like salaries move around, or when there's able to be some flexibility. With the Jalen Brunson thing of like, is he overpaid? Maybe, but he's also if you look at the record, I think he's like the 14th highest paid point guard in the league now, and it's you look at it and it's like, does Jalen Brunson belong as the 14th highest point guard, like paid point guard? Like he's around there, I would imagine. There's definitely some. Eric brought his cat in, but yeah, like he's definitely around there in my opinion. So I don't think he's like too off. Like I think like someone who's just under him at like 23, 24 million is Terry Rozier. Like I don't think I personally think he's a little bit better than Terry, but I guess it's to be seen, to be determined. For our listeners, please check out the actual video of this podcast. You will be able to see Eric's cat, and it's a very cute cat. Moving on. I want to, so two quick extensions I want to talk about. Nikola Jokic, a 5-year, $264 million Supermax contract, going to be the highest paid player, I believe. Richest deal in NBA history. And then as well, Devin Booker, a 4-year, $214 million Supermax. Quick thoughts on both these guys extending with their teams.
I have one news I want to break. I just lost it, but Udonis Haslem is signing a 1-year deal. I thought that was important to let Jeff know, because he's going to be on that bench again.
He's Nation, man.
He's going to break up those fights.
Culture
for the players.
Big culture guy for my
Give you that 1 second per game, if that. He's going to show up and clap 100 times per game.
I like the lob,
right there.
That lob that Tyler Hero threw to him and almost killed Udonis Haslem. That was pretty good.
What would you say before though?
Brian, stop disrespecting my legends.
Oh no, it was Joker and Booker. Joker, I mean, bro, no one does what he does. He deserves it. That picture of Joker in like the Batman movies where he's burning all the money behind him is perfect for him. And who's the other one? Booker.
Yeah.
I mean, you had to pay the man. I mean, I don't know. That's a lot of money, man. He's that player, but when you think about it, if you could choose anyone and you're paying them that much money, would you pick Devin Booker or would you pick someone else? I mean, I like Devin Booker, but I personally really, if I had my choice of player at that level, I don't know if he'd be my number one choice. That's my opinion.
You know, what makes this interesting about the Devin Booker thing? Let's think this about, like, in respects to the interest that we're hearing from Kevin Durant. If he goes to the Suns, how much of a different situation is it than the Nets, realistically? Because you're now going to be on a team once again with 3 max players, and you'll have to do the cap gymnastics that the Nets have to do year by year with trying not to be hard cap, trying to get the right type of talent around you. Obviously, there may be a little bit of difference in how they do it, but it's a similar situation. So I think that's one thing to keep in mind with Devin Booker getting this extension. But also, another interesting part about this is that it makes it also lets you know that Devin Booker cannot be shared in any tradings for, I believe, until after the year is over, right? Or after 6 months or something of
Something.
that something like that. I don't remember what it is. I think it's not until January he could be traded or something after you sign your extension.
Yes. Yes, it's like you're correct. Like somewhere until January, you can't be traded. So definitely no immediate Kevin Durant trade. Well, Devin Booker being added into a Kevin
Well,
Durant trade. So we'll see.
here's my question with that. If he gets traded, who's the other? What's the other half of the deal? Like who's getting shipped?
If
As in Devin Booker?
No, for KD.
Brian, what do you think about that? You want to save that, or you want to just unpack on that right now?
no, we can unpack that right now. Let's. All right, Jeff, you go. You can go if you would like.
I kind of wanted you
All
to
right,
hear
yeah.
your piece first.
So I think it'd be one. I think DeAndre Ayton kind of has to be in that.
Yeah, me
That
too.
trade.
He has to be in the deal.
He's the best player there, probably one of the most valuable players there, even though for some reason the Suns don't see him that way and kind of like downplay him, but they're trying to
What
sign
I
him.
was reading about, like he just doesn't show up sometimes. Like he's there, but he's not really there. And like you don't want to pay the man who's gonna show up 50% of the time. You got to question how much he's actually there. Like when you're paying that guy that much money, he's your guy. Like he's gonna play like Jimmy Butler in a sense. You guys see my mom in the corner there?
Yeah, she's there. That's
But let's
amazing.
She just got home
so
from
let's
work.
so let's be honest. What you just said, why would the Nets trade for a guy like that?
Well, that's my question. Like everyone's saying he wants to go to the Suns. Like, what's the deal then? Like when we traded D'Lo for KD, like it was fair enough in the sense like high players, multiple.
I think,
Like go ahead.
I think that was a
Wait, I got
different
breaking
situation.
news. Juan Toscano Anderson signs with the Lakers.
With
Wow.
the Lakers.
These
All
Lakers
right.
have so many spots.
JaVale McGee to the Dallas Mavericks.
I think that helps them a lot.
A 3-year, $20 million deal. Interesting.
I would say so. This is what makes that so interesting. Like, there truly is, in my mind, and this is going back to the whole salary thing again. There's no real scenario where I think this sounds like a good situation for them to jump on this right now until they get a third or fourth team added into this. You mentioned the D'Lo thing. Once again, that's another semantics thing. That was the Nets trying to ensure that D'Lo got his payday because he was owed a payday, and ultimately it helped you guys in the long run. It helped you guys in the long run as well, getting what you needed
Wiggins.
and getting a guy to potentially trade in the future. So there's that aspect of it, but this is not the same type of situation. I would say it's because Kevin Durant has 4 years left on his contract. Wherever you send Kevin Durant to go, he has to stay there for 4 years. And not only does he have to stay,
unless he asks for another trade midway through.
he could,
yeah,
but
yeah.
Wait, so
realistically,
can we
do they
talk
have to-
about it? Like,
do they have to listen?
so what happened? Like, I didn't even know. Like, I looked at my phone for a second. It's like he requests a trade. Like, what? You just got there. I don't get it.
All right, let me just finish up what I was saying, and then we'll get to that. But if you think about it in the sense like that doesn't necessarily happen in the NBA all the time. This is a peculiar situation where you have a guy of that magnitude in the not even in the open market expecting a trade, and realistically, like I said, he does not have any say in where he wants to be. If the Nets truly do not care about what he thinks or what he wants, they do whatever is best for them and they get the best package possible. Um, Acquiescing to him right now, I don't think is in their best interest, especially when you have to keep in mind too, in the life of his first contract, they gave him $40 million and he didn't play one game, and obviously it was because he was injured. But it's the same thing of like, if I was willing to give you that in that time, you got to understand that I got to do what's best for me as well at this time.
It's very true. I even forgot that they paid him for that first year to sit on the bench, which is pretty crazy. Do you think if they traded him, do you care about their perception to sign other free agents or to get any other players there? Do you think that's already ruined? What do you think about that?
I think it's definitely affected that. A lot of people will in the media will want to say whatever they want to say about the Kyrie situation and how Kyrie is perceived and everything. Ultimately, the Nets are going to still look worse at this situation because the players stand by each other more than we'll ever see owners be standing by each other, right? And ultimately, if a superstar is turned off by a team, it could greatly affect any other team deciding to sign with that team. And I think that what just happened just shows a great level of dysfunction. It goes back to now thinking that the Nets could very well lose all three of the guys in less than 18 months that are top, at least let's just to be nice, say at least top 30 players in the league. You had three of them, and now you have to give them up in about 18 months. There has to be something that's going on within the organization that's affecting that.
Yeah. It's it is it's so unfortunate. It's so weird that this even happened. I don't quite understand what Katie's thinking. He forced his way to Brooklyn, and in 3 years, on the same day that he decided to sign with the Nets,
Damn,
he
it's
is
been 30 years.
asking, yep, 3 years to the day, he is asking for a trade now. There's
I
all the
just don't
Kyrie
get it.
stuff. Yeah, it's very
Like,
strange. I even just a week ago, I was on this podcast and I said when Kyrie opted in, or if at the time Kyrie didn't opt in, but if he opted in, which he did, I was like, I still see that team as a favorite to win a championship. Are they a favorite to at least make it to the finals on the East side? Like that team just has so much talent. There's so much potential there, and yet they just kind of want to leave it on the table.
something I just saw is like Phoenix and Miami are on the wish list. Him in Miami would be crazy. Like
Yeah.
that's kind of what they're
You
missing
mean
too.
you mean Heat's Nation, baby? Heat's
I mean,
culture,
you
baby.
you would just be
Yeah,
following
baby.
him. You
Heat's
you
Nation,
need a
bro.
heat
Heat's
flag right
Nation.
behind you, Jeff. Like
I got
a
it. It's
big.
outside. It's right outside of my window. That's
You
where
could
the
just look
flag
at it. Yeah.
is.
Nah, but I just don't get it. Yeah, I it seemed like he was a net like like finally him and Kyrie are finally gonna play the full year, and I don't get it.
Richard Jefferson said something today that spoke volumes. Is I don't think it is that he just at nowhere out of nowhere just did not
Oh
commit to
no,
the
it
Nets.
was definitely building
It
up.
was it the guy signed a contract where he has no veto power. He signed a contract with no opt outs. He was committed to the Nets. So he definitely did value that the Nets gave him that money during that time when he was injured, believed in him, allowed him to get back. the biggest issue, and it was something that I seen a couple days ago, it feels like weeks now because we're always talking about it, right? Was that he started to lose faith in the organization because of the handling of Kyrie. And granted, no matter what you feel about the Kyrie situation, you knew that this was a pairing. This was never a situation where KD was going to come by himself or Kyrie was going to come by himself. It was going to be a package deal. So you deal with whatever issues you have with Kyrie to have a guy like KD, right? And granted, let's be honest, we're in a space in the NBA where we move on with players so fast, right? We look at the Paul George where he moved on from Pacers to OKC to being on the Clippers in about a 4 or 5 year span, right? That wasn't happening in the past. Like players, if you had a problem with your organization, tough luck, you're staying there. Like you're going to have to figure it out with that organization. And that's not what's present nowadays. And it's another thing that I think is going to be a big issue. Why I think the supermax is even going to come into question about like how we do this because it effectively means nothing. If a player with a 4 year deal decides he wants to leave, it just means that it's absolutely doesn't hold its weight to what you thought it would be. You know.
Yeah, we would never see players actually. The only time you see players actually asking for deals was when it was like their last year on the contract. And if you think about it, that's when they have some leverage because it's all right. If you don't trade me and get some value for me, you're gonna lose me for nothing. And then you see then we start seeing a little bit later, 2 years, okay. And then you have someone like Ben Simmons asking out pretty early into his contract. Now you have Kevin Durant asking out early to his contract, or literally when he just signed this extension. It is definitely pretty crazy. It's so unfortunate how the Nets handled this entire situation of trying to take back the power that they literally gave Kevin Durant and Kyrie, which is now leading to all this downfall. At the end of the day, though, at least from my perspective, like looking at the bright side, even though when you lose Kevin Durant and Kyrie, there really isn't a ton of bright side, but at the end of the day, like you're getting whatever the package is, you're going to be getting some good players in there, at least some good young players in there. You're going to be getting a lot of picks to, revitalize the draft assets that you gave away for James Harden and all that. So you're still going to have Ben Simmons on the team. Let's see how that works out and if he's back to his really good self. And then maybe you get some other pretty decent talent. Especially, think about it, you have Ben Simmons when you traded James Harden. Now you're going to be trading Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving's value is probably at its lowest that it's ever been. But still, you're going to get some pretty decent returns. Maybe we don't. Yeah, I don't think we have to tarp too much longer on the KD stuff, especially. We don't even have all the details yet. We don't even know if he's getting traded yet. So, what I'm gonna do next, since there's a bunch of names on here, and on the names going forward, there's a few that I'm gonna stop, and maybe we could touch on a little bit longer. But I want to get a yay or a nay, or you know what? I guess on a scale of 1 through 5, give me your rating on the signing. That's what I want to hear. So, first is Malik Monk with the Sacramento Kings signed a 2-year deal, I believe.
Well, you're just breaking news to me. I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
Malik Monk to the Kings. He's like the perfect player to go to the Kings, man.
So, scale 1 through 5. What are you rating this?
I mean, position-wise, I'd probably give it like a 2 or a 3. But like he's literally like the perfect player. He's the perfect player for the Kings. Like just all around messed
I
up.
love how you walk that back I knew
I
you were
don't-
about
yeah,
to say
I don't-
Perfect player,
perfect
2 or
fit.
3.
Yeah, I don't know. He's
Perfect
just
fit for the war for
no,
the
but like
Kings. Like
he's good. He's just like to me, he's just like Jeremy Lamb or like these shooting guards that just never made it, but like they can score, but like
Marshawn Brooks.
exactly like I don't know. He's not gonna do anything. He's probably gonna score more than like 15 points. He's gonna be that Buddy Hield role, realistically.
Okay. Jeff, what is your ranking?
I guess you said yay or nay. I guess it's a neutral. It's right in the middle, down to 3 for me.
3. Got it. Okay. Moving next, rapid fire. DeAndre Jordan signing a deal with the Denver Nuggets.
Neither.
That is a nay. That's the
That,
biggest
I give it
nay
a 1.
of the world.
0. He's not gonna.
Doesn't
He's
even
gonna
hit
play
them.
like the first couple games, and then They're gonna realize like this guy's stone. He doesn't move, doesn't do anything.
It's not. It doesn't even register on a scale. What I feel about him.
He's like the
not
complete
even
opposite of
breaking
what they
number.
had last year. Didn't they have JaVale? No, wait. Yeah,
the Suns
JaVale.
had, so Suns had JaVale. They
Yeah,
had
the
him
Suns did.
like
Yeah.
2-3 years ago. All right, so we're not a fan of DeAndre Jordan right now.
He's gotta retire.
Next is yay or
now.
nay, or what's your rating on Isaiah Hartenstein signing a 2-year deal, $16 million deal with the New York Knicks?
What he did?
Yeah, he did. He didn't
Oh,
even know. All
I'm
right,
telling you,
so
I don't know
good.
any of these. Like you're breaking.
Good.
I thought he re-signed with the Clippers.
No.
That's a big deal. I like. I said it. I think yesterday we were talking about it. I like Isaiah Hartenstein. He could get you buckets. He's offensive. He got to get a little better defensively. But nice. Does that mean you guys aren't going to sign what's it,
Mitchell
Robinson back?
So apparently, Ian Begley had a report saying that the expectation is that Isaiah is going to back up Mitchell Robinson if they can still re-sign him. So he's going to be their backup center.
If you get
It
your both of
replaces
them, that's a
Nerlens.
nice one too.
Yeah,
That's
it
a really
replaces-
nice one
It
too.
definitely replaces Nerlens Noel, who did the same exact thing as
Jeez.
Mitchell Robinson.
Goodbye, Nerlens.
Yeah, Jeff. First reaction.
I guess that's a 4 on the yay. Closer to a yay.
I like that. I like that signing.
I like it. I like it. I respect it. I'm around there too. Is it a big name or is it anything? No.
No, but
It's just
it helps.
it's a smart
helps.
it's a smart little signing. Let's see if it actually works out. Jeff, you'll like this one as Heat Nation. Victor Oladipo agreed to a 1-year, $11 million deal to return to the Miami Heat.
What?
I'm gonna lean on the nay. He wasn't really doing a lot for my boys in this playoffs. Maybe I think injuries played a part into that. Maybe after an off season, he gets to rest. He gets to develop with the team a little bit more. He plays a little bit better, but I'm not too big on him being a part of the team.
Eric.
I thought he was gonna go somewhere else. He was kind of giving those vibes that like he's gonna go somewhere else. He's gonna show that he's that guy again. I didn't know he resigned, so cool.
Rating. What's
2.
your rating? 2?
2.
2? All right. And talking about somebody who is a person who was giving off vibes that he's going to re-sign somewhere else, talking about, I don't know if I can live myself if I don't give myself a chance to actually win a title. We're talking about Bradley Beal here. Bradley Beal has agreed to a 5-year, $251 million max contract with the Washington Wizards. He went back. We all called it. The man is going back to re-sign with the Wizards. First reactions. Let's go with Jeff.
He's the biggest nay ever. I know I just said that DeAndre is a nay, but Brian, we talked about this last pod. Not even surprised. Not even surprised.
I'm surprised.
He's this generation's. Well, I don't know why you would be surprised, but he's this generation's Carmelo Anthony. He's gonna chase the bag. And granted, there is nothing wrong with chasing the bag. It is like
Yeah.
people got to
We
start
all are
remembering
chasing the bag.
this is a career. This is a career. As much as you do want to win, there's people that just want to get money, and he's one of the guys that just wants to get money, and I'm okay with it if that's what he wants to do with his career.
So rating, Jeff. You said biggest, so I'm
Oh,
guessing
zero.
negative.
It's
Zero?
zero. It's
It's a
zero.
zero.
It would be like a -5, but I'll take that.
I'm surprised.
So
I
Eric,
didn't.
Yeah.
All of this just came out right now. Like,
No, this is out like hours ago before
dude,
we even
I haven't
started.
looked at my phone in a little
Yeah.
bit, so I don't know
It's
any of
good.
these.
This is good.
I don't understand why I mean, is the reason why he declined his option it was to make more money?
Yep. Mhm.
I give it a 1, I guess. I don't. They still suck.
All right, not fans of Bradley Beal here.
I
Next
like
is
Bradley Beal.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I mean, yeah, he's getting that bag. I mean, he'll never win a championship, but like Jeff said, people just want money. Nothing wrong with that.
You don't like the fit between Bradley Beal and Porzingis?
Dude, I don't like the fit between Bradley Beal and the Wizards ever.
Yeah. Very fair, very fair. So next is PJ Tucker is getting a 3-year deal, $33 million to Philly, the
That's weird.
76ers. Let's go
I
with
feel like any
Yeah.
team he goes on, they're always like maybe 1 or 2 games away from the finals. Like he's always in the finals or close to it. Like the Sixers had no rebounding, first of all, when Embiid's not in there. They're not tough. They have no size. I don't know what Tobias Harris is doing on that team. Like we were saying, who's the DeAndre Ayton shows up like 50% of the time.
Yeah.
This man shows up like maybe 25. Like I'd never see him really do much. And in the one game you see him go off, it's like, yeah, he's still got it, but where is this consistently?
Mhm.
I like the fit. I'll give it like a 4.
All right. Jeff, on PJ Tucker signing with the 76ers.
I'm gonna go with a yay. Just with the fit, with Harden being more comfortable.
Is Harden even resigned?
He's going to.
There's
he's on-
reports that he's
he's
going to, but yeah.
to the weekend to work it out with management. But I think I like the fit with him and with Harden and being another one of those defensive big bodies. I might not like the exact deal because we're looking at a guy that's 37 years old, and let's see how that body holds up. And but I do like him with the pairing of those two guys as being
Yeah.
one of those guys that allows to alleviate some of the defensive presence that is needed onto a guy like James Harden. Now he could pick up the top defender, especially with an undersized 2 and Maxey. It helps out.
I definitely agree. I think that's why he re-signed, because he's going to be getting this amount of money till he's 40. So moving on next, you got Anthony Simons has agreed to a 4-year, $100 million contract extension with the Portland Trailblazers. Eric, first impressions.
I don't know what the Blazers are doing. You got Dame, you got, is it Simmons or Simons?
Simons.
You got Simons, and you got Shaden Sharp, this rookie that hasn't even played in college. So who knows how he's going to be like. Who's the Robert Covington? No, Robert Covington's gone. Who's the 4? And Nurkic is the 5. He's a good 5, but I loved betting against the Blazers last year because they were so bad, man. They made me so much money. But you just fade the bad teams. But I guess I'd give it like a 3 because they're not going to be better. He's going to probably put up better numbers this year because he's going to have more of a role than last year. But yeah, 3. Average.
What's your
Okay,
first
so
impressions?
I go based off of what we were saying on last podcast with the draft. I'm gonna go like nay because, and it's not because of him as a player. It's because of the perception again. Is you want to win now? I understand you want to win now, and this is definitely the type of guy you would want to have to try to build around winning now. But bringing in Sharp into this fold now adds to being another issue on this roster. Like, what lineup is that going to look like with those three if Sharp gets better? Are you either going to move Simmons or Simons, or are you going to start a lineup with Dame, Sharp, and Simons, and they're all probably under 6'3", 6'4"? Like that is a team that gets cooked in my mind. I'm gonna go with two.
I'm actually gonna jump in on this one. So actually, Shaden Sharp is 6'6", so he has a good
Wow.
he has good so he could probably play
But still.
the small forward. But yeah, I mean, so to win now is a good no. Well, I mean, so one, I think we were pretty clear. Like last episode, we do not like the Shaden Sharp pick there. At least for now. Maybe he's actually amazing. We don't know.
I didn't like it either, to be honest.
What I will say, I actually will give this signing, I would actually give it a 5, just in the sense of I think, well, one,
It definitely helped.
I believe one, if you can lock down this guy for 4 years, that is pretty fantastic. You're getting him for $25 million a year. They see him as like their franchise point guard after Dame leaves. So he really picked it up this year. I like that you're able to keep him around this number. We'll see how it plays going forward. But that's what they like in the overall scheme of things. Do I like it? Not necessarily, but I do like just locking in Simons long term. Next is Bobby Portis is returning on a 4-year, $49 million contract with the Milwaukee Bucks. Bucks.
I like that.
So, yeah. Eric, that's a yay for you?
I think he's really important to that team. Is the year the Bucks won, is that the year they had PJ Tucker and Bobby Portis and
yeah.
see, like, that's a big team. Like, no one's going to want to beat up like that. No one could beat them inside. So, like, I guess that's kind of what. Who'd they play in the finals? They played the Cavs?
The Suns.
Yeah. There's no one on that. No one could stop Giannis on that team. But that was a good year for them. But I like that deal. I mean, I think he found a home there. Milwaukee really seems to like him. And I think he really fits well. Like when Brook wasn't there all year, he was the center and he played really well. Then on and off, like he's inconsistent as well, but he's good for that team. So I'd give it a 4.
I like it. Jeff, what do you got?
I would say that, yeah, I give it 4 or 5 around there, because just the fit of him staying there. I think that he gave a Brook a run for his money for that starting 5 position, and I think that he might actually get it at the start of next season because they even saw in the playoffs that it looked a little bit better with him playing. Ultimately, I think that he's like Eric was saying, is bought into the city, and that's a big part of like why I think it's good re-signing him.
I agree with all that. So this next one we can do very quickly of Daniel House, 2-year deal with the 76ers, $8.5 million. Very quickly, Eric. First impressions. 1. All right, Jeff.
Maybe a 2. Sorry, maybe a 2.
Daniel House.
He went to the Jazz.
I don't even
right?
know why this question. No, he went to the Sixers.
Yeah,
No. When he was on the Rockets, they let him go. He went to the Jazz, right?
Yes, I believe so.
I remember watching him on the Jazz. He actually played pretty
Yeah,
well.
he was. He was on the Jazz.
That's why I'm changing it to a 2 because he does enough. He's gonna help that team. I feel like a 1 is like who cares? Like you'll probably hear his name on the rotation. He'll probably play.
Wait, how did I not know? He went from Houston to the Knicks
He
for
got
one
bought out.
game.
I remember.
Yeah.
He played on the Jazz, and
He
that was
played.
after Ingles got his the season-ending injury. They traded for him, and he played all right, I guess. He nothing crazy, but you could see that he knows how to play. Like he's pretty
Yeah.
good.
He was on the Knicks for one game that last season, so I completely forgot about that. So yeah, Jeff, real quick, we don't have to do long.
Yeah, no, I'd say that it's a 1.
A one.
Doesn't
All
really
right.
move the needle to me.
All right. Next is actually someone we named earlier. I actually missed this one. Tyus Jones is remaining with the Memphis Grizzlies on a 2-year, $30 million deal. So he's getting paid $15 million a year. What are your thoughts? Let's go with Eric.
I watched a lot of Grizzlies games this year. I mean, I can't like them because they're like enemies of my favorite team, but like they're a good team. Tyus Jones on another team is a quality starter. I think like he could be his float game is crazy. He's really good at floaters. Um he I think he's really important to that backup, the second squad. So I'd give it like a more than a 3, I guess a 4. I mean, he's an impactful player.
Jeff, Tyus
Um,
Jones.
I guess like it just goes to show like don't even listen to what you hear athletes say because most of the time they're lying. Like the guy spoke about wanting to go to a situation. He did say he did want it to go back as well too, but he was looking at a situation that could possibly lead to him like leading a team or seeing what that looks like, right? Um, I think this is still a good team for him to be on, so I'll give it a 4.
All right. I like it. I like it. These two
Wait,
I'm
can
going to. Yeah.
Can I say one real quick?
Yeah.
How about Patty Mills resigning with the Brooklyn Nets? Jeff, your thoughts?
Well, I don't know. I guess a 3.
It's the same thing.
Everything's in flux. Everything's in flux until you know what happens with the KD situation.
But what do you
So
think about the
anything
fact that
that this
he's
team,
going back before all of this is figured out? Like he's
well,
committed.
it seemed, well, that's through what I was looking at on Twitter, it was already perceived that he would go back to the Nets, even when he dropped the MLE that he signed last year. It was just he was re-up for another year, more years, so he could get a little bit more money.
I'd personally probably give it like a 2 in the sense of it's close to like a 2 or 3 just because of like you mentioned, it doesn't really move a whole lot. A lot of things are in flux. You just think about like Patty Mills wasn't really that great last year. So just bringing him back doesn't really do anything. I give it a 2. Next, so yeah, these next two guys I'm actually gonna pair up together of Wes Matthews and Javon Carter, re-signed with the Milwaukee Bucks. Rapid fire, Velasquez. What you got?
Wesley Matthews actually played a lot on that team. He played pretty well, so I like that one. Javon Carter, I actually saw him play like a couple games with the Bucks. He played pretty well. 2?
2.
Oh my
All right.
God.
I mean, that was like maybe like
He
one.
played well, and you gave him a 2.
They're not needle movers. Like,
Oh my God.
I guess.
Okay,
I
so
guess I have
if you're
to say
gonna
a
go,
3. I guess I have to say a 3.
if you're gonna say 3, but you previously said a 2, I guess I'm gonna give this a 1 because I don't really see anything coming from either one of these guys. Yes, Wesley Matthews had few moments of sparks where he looked good. Javon Carter never looks good in my book. He's just
He's a third
yes.
stringer.
Some people believe he's a good defender. I don't think he's really that good of a defender. I just think that he has that. He has a little bit of that Pat Beverly, but not really the skill of Pat Beverly in him. and that's what we see out of his game.
All right, I respect that. I respect it. Real quick, just for the Lakers fans out there, rapid fire again. Damian Jones, 2-year deal with the Lakers.
Saw that one.
What you think? What you think?
One.
Jeff, real quick. 1, 2, 3.
One.
One. Got it. All right. This one's actually pretty good. You got Chris Boucher returning to the Toronto Raptors, a 3-year, $35 million deal. What do you guys think about that? I'm going to start with Jeff this time.
I like Chris Boucher, so I'll give him a 4. Re-signing. I just don't. I think he could have got a better role somewhere else. Going somewhere else right now. But I like the fact that the Raptors recommitted in him and are bringing him back. He's definitely a good. He's moving away from being experimental to being a solid player. He's another one of those guys like a Siakam that started basketball late and is figuring things out. And I think him, Siakam, Barnes, all being in that same height range that is intriguing with the league nowadays, is going to be a good piece to add to this team.
Eric, what you got?
I like Chris Boucher. He fits that team. I just feel like the Raptors need a little something else. Like that year they won it, Kawhi really took that team over. Now when I look at them, like yeah, they're good, but they're not a consistent team at all. And the only way they're gonna win is they're gonna outscore you because they don't play that much defense. And they're not like you said. They're all their players are on the same height. Like that's why they lost against the Sixers. Like Embiid, it took 3 of them to block out Embiid. So they need something else. Maybe a big center or at least a body there or something. Like I think they have a lot of pieces. They might want to trade away and go get another piece somewhere else. But I like Chris Boucher. He might be one of those pieces that gets traded though, but because I don't see Siakam getting traded, I don't see OG getting traded. Fred's definitely not getting traded. Gary Trent's not getting traded. So these like those role players who has value, he's got value.
And I like he's getting paid a little bit more than $11 million, and it's I think it's pretty fair for him. Next is Lou Dort with the OKC Thunder re-signing for a 5-year, $87 million contract, which ends up being a $17.5 million per year. Let's say, Eric, what you got?
Well, not many players are willing to play in OKC, and he seems like he really likes it. So, I mean, because he's that guy, he could do whatever he wants there. He's not. Hey, put him on any other team, he can't do the same thing. Or he doesn't have the freedom to do the same things because he could do whatever he wants on that team. I guess the 3, nothing changes. He's just got a bag. That's really it.
Jeff, what you got?
I'm gonna skip on this one.
All right. I was gonna say rapid fire. Nick Batum, 2-year deal with the Clippers. We all knew he was gonna resign, but rapid fire.
2.
I start. All right, there you go.
2.
1. All right. There's a few random names on here. Oh, for the Miami Heat fan, for the Heat culture, you got Dwayne Dedman, 2-year, $9 million contract. Jeff, real quick, what you got?
1. He's 1.
Yeah, it's a 1.
All right. Next, we got Jayshawn Tate has agreed to a 3-year, $22.1 million deal with the Houston Rockets, returning to the Rockets. What's your thoughts? Let's say Eric.
I like Jayshawn Tate. What was the contract?
3-year, $22 million contract.
So what? He's making like
So
6.
7.3 million a year for Jason Tate.
2.
I'll give him 3.
All right. We touched on one of these, but we can add these next two together. Lonnie Walker and Troy Brown Jr. agreed to 1-year deals with the Lakers. Rapid fire. Let's go with Jeff.
One's because they're going to the Lakers.
I also give them 1s because they're on the Lakers.
All right. And this is the last one that I have. So we have Nick Claxton agreed to a 2-year, $20 million deal to return to the Brooklyn Nets. The fan, we have an ex Brooklyn Nets fan at the moment on here. Our ex subject matter expert in Jeff. What do you got? What do you think?
You mean Eric? You mean Eric? I don't know what you mean. I've always been.
I'm gonna
But,
lose forever.
I guess I'll give it a 3. It's very neutral. Definitely got him on a team friendly contract, but also once again the situation's in flux, so you don't know what to think about anything yet.
I also say a 3. It's the same thing. They had to keep him. He's an asset, especially with everything going on.
Actually, I forgot that we touched on it very quickly before, but Marvin Bagley returned to the Detroit Pistons for a 3-year, $37 million. Quick rating. Let's go with Eric.
Say the amount again.
3-year, $37 million.
So he's making what, like 13, 12, 13? I don't know. I was never good at math.
It's 12.3.
I feel like that's a lot for him, but like, let's see. Maybe this is the year he breaks out.
Oh, shoot. My boy, Kevin Knox. Breaking news. Has agreed to a 2-year, $6 million deal with the Detroit Pistons.
Oh wow!
Wow.
Earth-shattering.
Kevin
Earth-shattering.
Knox.
The
number 8 pick over Mikal Bridges and Miles Bridges.
Dude, who's picking these? Like, who's in charge of the the Knicks draft picks? Because I don't know what they're doing.
So that one was what was his name? Steve Mills, who got fired, and then the Frank Ntilikina over Donovan Mitchell was Phil Jackson, actually, because Phil Jackson believed he could have played in the triangle really well, and we saw how well that worked out. I always believe that that DeJounte Murray is what I believe Frank Ntilikina could have been if he lived up to his potential. But that's all I got. That's all we have so far. We're at 2 hours and 30 minutes into free agency. Definitely a lot more deals going to be coming out in the next bit. Actually, breaking news from Woj. Gary Harris has agreed to a 2-year, $26 million contract.
To return.
To return to the Orlando Magic.
They have so many players that like would be really good on other teams, but just not on that team.
Yeah.
Like Mo Bamba left, and
Actually, no, Mo Bamba resigned.
Mo Bamba stayed.
That's actually one that I missed.
I saw a report that said he went to the Bulls. I guess that was wrong.
I guess that was wrong.
It's
not from Shams, or if it's not from,
I don't know. Maybe I'll try to find it
not
again.
taking that fact.
Yeah.
I saw it, but I saw it from Shams that it was just going back.
So quick thoughts on both. You got Mo Bamba and you got Gary Harris. Quick ratings before we actually wrap it up. 2s.
Yeah, I guess a 2.
All right. Well, boys, it's been fun. We've been going for about 2 hours now. For the listeners, we're actually posting this episode on Friday, so you're gonna be listening to this right away. Let us know what you think. Let us know if you like this kind of live reactions, game day takes on everything happening. Do you guys have anything you want to say before we call it an episode?
Go ahead, Jeff.
Well, I guess it's time to have the obituary on my Nets fandom. Granted, I am probably joking. I've suffered through a lot worse.
Probably.
I've suffered through a lot worse with this team. I should not even be shocked that this happens. There's a thing called the Nets curse. So I was just due. I was due for the Nets curse to come, and it's finally seasoning. Or actually, it built up for the right dramatic effect, and this was the right time. 3 years down the road, and nothing effectively happened in the first place since we got them. So this could be the very well my last couple weeks being a Nets fan. Maybe I'll tarnish someone else's organization's luck and curse them as well. But we'll see what happens. But on a serious note, last thing I saw, and like you said, Brian, loving the live reactions that we're able to do with this episode. But last thing that I saw was that the Nets are expecting two All Stars to come in return in a Kevin Durant trade, which means in my mind there is no way in hell that someone is getting Kevin Durant this summer. So unless of a team want to give up 2 stars, I just honestly, where are you getting that from? What team is giving 2 stars?
Yeah, I don't believe he's gonna get traded then. If that's the asking price, that is not one All-Star, 100%. One All-Star, some good young pieces, and some picks, that's doable. 2 All-Stars? Like, not a lot of teams have like 2 All-Stars, and especially at the level where I'm willing to trade both of them. Like, if I'm just thinking real quick, like Kawhi and Paul George, like both All Stars, like not trading those two. Like, think about all the other teams that have like 2 All Stars. Not
LeBron,
many.
AD.
Yeah, like
Let's be honest. If they're thinking about it in that sense, they're essentially saying that they know if KD's in a competent organization that picks them up and they give up 2 stars, players are going to come there. Like players are going to sign with KD. But the biggest issue that comes on both sides of this, let's say we keep the status quo, Nets get no one. There's no one that they get to add in the summer to help the situation. If the Nets drag their feet with this, they can't add anyone. Neither does the team that KD potentially goes to is able to add someone with enough time. And I think the third option is you move this really fast, Nets probably get fleeced. So I say you drag your feet and you figure out what is the best situation for you. You don't need to force this. He, in no way, shape, or form, I don't care if he hasn't called me in 3 years. There's no way I'm letting this happen like this. I'm gonna have to drag my feet.
So you're saying that KD is stuck there, even though he says
I'm
he
not saying
wants
he's
to be?
I'm not saying necessarily he's stuck there. I'm saying that you have there. This is the craziest part is all of the leverage is still in the Nets' favor. It's just there's an implied sense of leverage that is on Kyrie and KD because they don't want to be there anymore. But contractually, it would be easier for Kyrie to say, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to be a part of this team. But when KD, being one of arguably the best players in the league, if he says he's not going to play, I'm telling you, and this has been the precipice of my whole conversation, this podcast, is that the CBA that we're going to see rules change and regress so fast in the light of being player empowered so fast if Katie decides to make this hard for the Nets to get what they need in this trade.
Yeah, 100%. The quick thought that I just had, it's we got a lot of people re-signing and all this other stuff. What's taking Zach LaVine so long? I wonder if there's anything. I wonder if there's anything
I did see
there.
that.
If people were talking
I
about
did see
that, that was just mine. That was an original thought for
Brewing
me.
there with him.
Interesting.
It's like the Bulls trying to make a play at KD, huh?
Maybe. Eric, do you have anything you want to say before we wrap it up?
Yeah. Life's nice being a Warriors fan. There was a lot of years where I had no idea what I was doing. There were some bums on this team that honestly I could name you some and you probably are like, yeah, I remember that bum. But there were so many years that I've waited, and then when they won the first one, it was like, wow, it's a dream come true. And then they repeated, and it was awesome. And then they did it again.
What am I
It
listening?
was awesome. And then it looked down for a little bit. A lot of haters came out. A lot of Warriors fans that were fans left, but the real ones stayed. And you know, flip flopping. Warriors, Dub Nation for life. Jeff, I'm happy you're a Heats fan now. Easy to go to games now. You don't gotta go to Brooklyn.
Hey,
But hey, Warriors are the best team, and don't be surprised when they repeat next year.
All right, for
man,
that speech, you're never coming back on this podcast again.
I have to come back next year when they win.
Exactly. Oh man, it's that speech hurts as a Knicks fan watching bums on my team for the last 20 years, and yes, I don't think that's ever gonna go away. So I don't think I don't know. Yeah.
I love when Warriors fans feel like they've went through a struggle in their
Yeah,
lives.
exactly.
We believe Warriors.
Yes, it is. It's hard to be a New York sports fan,
No,
a
Knicks
basketball
fans
fan.
definitely have it worse. They have it way worse.
I was gonna say before the Kevin Durant and Kyrie stuff, I would say the Nets fans probably had it worse, but
This is
be
just
honest.
like Steve humble.
Be honest.
Humble.
Let's
I don't know.
really be honest. Is that if we look at the last 20 years, this is what makes this hilarious. The collection of stars the Nets have been able to put
That is true.
on their team has been way better than what the Knicks have been
no,
able
you're
to
right.
put.
You're right.
But the Nets have still had the same history as the Knicks in this time. You got Jason Kidd, you got Vince Carter, you got Darren Williams, you got Joe Johnson, you got Paul Pierce, you got KG, you got Kevin Durant, you got Kyrie Irving. Like, are we serious? Like, let's be honest. This is some names that I'm naming right here, and nothing is made of this team, man.
Yeah, it's a lot of maybe winning the one playoff series for you got the Knicks with Carmelo Anthony, Amari Stoudemire, and all that. You won one playoff series. You got Kevin Durant and all that. Won one playoff series. It's looking good in New York. But yeah,
Hard to win in New York.
very hard, I guess. But no, this has been a lot of fun. Appreciate you coming on, Eric, and giving your Warriors insight and everything. And we're gonna have to do it again, even after that speech. But this has been episode.
I just had to let that all out.
Yeah, no, just rubbing into everyone who's not a Warriors fan.
if the Knicks ever were to win, or the Nets, the Heat were ever to win, I would expect nothing less from you guys. I would expect more, honestly. I'm just this is the fourth one.
I was gonna say you're used to it by now. Like,
Fourth one, man. The first one was the craziest one to me because it came out of nowhere.
Can't wait for 2030 when Steph Curry retires, man.
Well, I think we'll still be in good hands.
All right, this has been episode 35.
Peace.